I want to, first of all, thank you so much for coming tonight. This is a little different, as you know, just like this entire school year has been, but I do appreciate your flexibility and your patience in working with us to make this happen tonight. So it is a program that is informational, but it's also a program full of opportunities for you, because you're going to get to, after we finish presenting some information, we will dismiss and we will head to the other part of the school where we have college recruiters and military representatives here. If you did not receive one of these yet, you will get a list of college recruiters, military representatives, and room numbers. So make sure you pick one of these lists up, these sheets up, before you exit to head to the second portion of our program tonight. But this is our senior night, and first and foremost, the first part of this, and then of course we have the college fair and career fair. But we'll start with the information tonight, and just so you know, Mrs. Vickers, she coordinates this, does a wonderful job. She put this together, she put this presentation together, organized the event, called all the recruiters, got everyone lined up to be here tonight, so I appreciate her. She could not be with us tonight, so we as a team are going to make probably a futile attempt at doing this remotely close to the job as what she normally does, because this is her job, this is what she does, and she's fantastic at it. But just wanted you to know what was going on tonight in terms of our presentation. So this is our countdown to graduation portion of the presentation. I'm Wesley Hester, I'm the principal here at the high school. So just a real quick introduction of several key people that you have either already come in contact or may need, and that is in student services. We have our counselors, Mrs. Brookie Harbison, who's our freshman counselor, Dr. Mosley, sophomores, Mr. McKee, juniors, Ms. Adelaide, seniors. I know a lot of you have worked with her and know her just this year as being seniors and parents. Mrs. Vickers, of course, college and career. Mrs. Marshall Rhodes, who's our interventionist. She's a strong part of our student services team. And then I'll skip one, and I'll go to Mrs. Sue Dennis, who is our registrar. Of course, you've dealt with Mrs. Dennis, and she does a fantastic job with records and transcripts and all those great things. And then, of course, Ms. Hicks is our receptionist. But one of our new faces this year is Mrs. Jasmine Young. So Jasmine, I don't know if Jasmine is here tonight, but Jasmine is our new career coach. And so she is responsible for helping to bridge and make connections for our students with workforce and career opportunities in the field immediately. Because not all of our students are going directly to college. So Ms. Young plays a key role in helping us to match students, their interests, their talents, and their skills with careers. So we're very, very proud to have her on board. Also, admin team is around. I've got Mr. Boyd, administrator, Ms. Harvey, Ms. Hayes. Up top I have Mr. Dickman, Mr. Ferris. They are here tonight to be a part of this. And so just a quick introduction with that. Now, let's jump into some information that all of you probably know, but these are just reminders, just general reminders, but a very important reminders. And that is graduation requirements. So starting with the fact 24 credits to graduate, that's for a standard diploma, 26 for your advanced and honors. Obviously, you must pass all those 4 areas. Some of you, maybe you're not even taking one of your courses this year, like a math, because you've already achieved that in the 8th grade. But regardless, it's a 4x4 with required electives. Valedictorian. Again, having to be on that honors track, that advanced academic endorsement with honors, for either valedictorian or salutatorian. So that's the qualification. And for vows, it is a 4.0 or higher. And then, of course, for salutatorians, it is 3.8 to a 3.9. Now you ask about what are those requirements for the advanced endorsement. You must have a pre-cal, must have taken pre-cal or taken pre-calculus or analytical math or something higher than that, calculus. Chemistry. Also 2 years of the same foreign language. That could be Spanish, 1 and 2, French, 1 and 2, even sign language now, 1 and 2. So that qualifies as a foreign language credit. Then, of course, at least 3 AP advanced placement or dual enrollment credits in order to qualify for the advanced academic endorsement with honors. Now, college application. This is very important. So there's some very key information here. I know a lot of you have already started the application process. Many of the colleges and universities, they open their applications in July and August of this year. But if you have not done that yet or started, now is the time, because all of our colleges and universities are wide open. Most will close, a lot of them will close by December the 1st. A lot of them will close their application at least by the end of the calendar year. So the time is now. But make sure that you have used or submitted a professional email address. I can't stress that enough, that it's professional. Because in our line of work, we do get a lot of emails from, and they check email addresses and what the names are. So make sure that it is a professional address. Also, make sure that when you send, know when the deadlines are. Know when the deadlines are. So one thing that Mrs. Vickers wants to emphasize is that the deadlines are received by. So the deadline is going to be received by the college or university, not when it was postmarked at the Alabama Post Office or wherever. Okay. So make sure that you know what those deadlines are and you are able to meet those deadlines. So prepare well and know those deadlines. Also, when you fill out the applications, most of your common applications, make sure you list Mrs. Vickers as a counselor. Okay? Now, there may be a special application that requires another staff member, another teacher, or maybe an administrator, but all of your applications, general common applications, please list Mrs. Vickers as your counselor because they will ask for that. Many schools offer fee waivers on their application fee. I know last week we had college application week. Most all of our colleges and universities in the state of Alabama, they waive their application fees. Some of our colleges and universities are continuing to do that. They're waiving fees. Okay? So make sure you check with this Vickers for more information on what colleges and universities are actually doing that at this time. Let's talk about, I want to mention Parchment. Some of you have probably already taken advantage of Parchment. Parchment is something that we just connected with, and it is a very convenient way to send transcripts and receive transcripts. A lot of your colleges and universities on their end, they are already a part of Parchment, so it's an easy process. So if you have already sent your transcript or requested that transcript be sent to colleges and universities through Parchment, great. You see how convenient it is and how much quicker it is in that process. If you have not used it, you can go to our quick links on the DHS website. And there's a quick link that reads transcript order or order transcript. Click on that and it takes you right to the site. This is a free service, okay? ACS, DHS, we took care of that on our end of it, so there's no fee order for you. There's no order fee, but you do have to set up an account. So make sure you register for an account through Parchment. And then at that time, you can start sending and ordering transcripts to be sent to colleges and universities. The other thing is make sure seniors, parents, young children, update those resumes. Make sure that you have every organization, every activity, every honor, every award that has been achieved by your student, by you, your senior. Make sure those resumes are updated so that you have that best opportunity with your application process. If you are an athlete, NCAA athlete, make sure that you are registered in the NCAA clearinghouse. The web application can be found at ncaaclearinghouse.net. Now, just so you know, we are recording this presentation. So we're actually doing two things tonight. So I'm going to stop for a second and tell you, if you missed something in this presentation, we are going to make this available on our website, but we're also going to send it out to you via email. So if you missed something or if you didn't quite catch that email address, you will be getting a copy of this presentation so that you can go back and view it later. So just so you know, there is a $90 fee though for registering through the NCAA portal or the clearinghouse. You must submit 2 high school transcripts, one when the application is made, and then the other one will come when you are finished and when you have completed your time at high school. You graduate. There will be a final transcript that will be submitted at that time. Fee waivers are available for students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. And then, of course, if you need more information or if you need help with this process of registering through the clearinghouse, you can certainly see Mr. Vickers for more information. Military. We will have all branches of our military in our school building visiting this year. Okay, so just remember that. As a matter of fact, we have 5 representatives of the military here tonight, including the U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, U.S. Marines, the Army National Guard, and the Air National Guard are here tonight. So if you're interested in the military, make sure you stop by and visit with them, and you'll get that list of where they are in terms of their route locations. If you are interested in the military, make sure that you get signed up for the ASVAB. Okay, the ASVAB is generally taken and administered in January. Okay, so more information will be coming out about that if you're interested in signing up to take the ASVAB. ROTC programs, the National Guard, they do offer scholarships for college. So that is an ideal way to get college paid for is through an ROTC program or even through the National Guard. After graduation, though, just remember that 4 to 6 years of military service is usually required if you have your college paid for by one of those services. Make sure you contact Mrs. Vickers if you wish to speak to a recruiter directly, and a recruiter will set up an appointment with you and your family. All right, so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Boyd. He is one of our senior sponsors. We have 3 senior sponsors this year. Mr. Brad Boyd is one of those. Mrs. Amanda Harvey is another senior sponsor. And of course, Mr. Vickers is our 3rd sponsor. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Boyd and let him share with you about senior events and activities. Very important.
All right, thank you. I want to welcome you out. It's exciting to finally be able to get some students and parents into the building and talk about some things that I know being a senior is a very exciting thing to do and discuss. Does anybody turn this or to my down? I guess I'll make it mine. All right, first of all, if you have not already taken your senior portrait, you need to contact Belmont Studios. Belmont Studios will set up an appointment for you to have your sitting for your senior portrait. As you already know, we have been meeting with Balfour for cap and gown present orders. The orders are being accepted now. I hope that's not a surprise to some of you parents that the money is already time to start getting that taken care of. The Balfour fee is $109.43. That means a cap, a gown, tassel, your stole, and your diploma. Now it's important, you cannot borrow regalia that was previously used by a family member or another graduate, even if it was very recently. Sometimes they don't exactly match, and we want to make sure that everything's right and new and it looks good. So no borrowing of regalia in our graduation. Class rings, we've been taking orders for those last week. Senior-related merchandise in the catalogs, the invitations, the shirts, the pictures, and all that kind of stuff is also ordered through Balfour. Now, some of the other things I want to talk about. We want you to know that we are making these plans, that they are important to us as they are important to the seniors, but we all know how fluid things are nowadays and how things can change. But we want to know what's on our calendar right now and what we can plan for as things currently exist. We're always going to try to give you a little bit more, give you something better, if guidelines allow. This is what we have so far. On April the 30th, it's going to be our cap and gown pickup, and it's going to be a modified parade of graduates. We know the parade of graduates is a great tradition that we have. If we had to do it today, it would have to be a modified because we couldn't go to the other schools. We don't know what it's going to look like in April, so right now we have to call it a modified parade of graduates. Senior Awards Night is scheduled for May 20th. It's that night that we give the honor cords and recognize a lot of senior accomplishments. We would hope to be able to do that, again, hopefully in our Performing Arts Center, but if not in here, whatever the guidelines allow us to do, we're going to do for you. May 24th, Big Senior Day, Senior Breakfast, Graduation Rehearsal. That is the day before graduation itself. I'll talk more about Senior Breakfast in just a second. And then graduation, the day we've been already waiting for and looking forward to, is tentatively scheduled for May 25th. It's scheduled for in the stadium, just like it was last year. Now, I know traditionally we've gone down to UAB, but we don't know if that's going to be available to us, so we're going with what we can do. And so our graduation will be at Warrior Stadium. Under current guidelines, each graduate would get 4 tickets. 4 tickets. Again, we hope to make that more, but that's based on our current guidelines. You'll see on here the inclement weather day is the next day, May 26th. Now let me explain inclement weather. As we get closer to graduation, if it looks like just a sure thing that it's going to be some terrible weather the evening of May 25th, we know for sure storms are coming or whatever, we will go ahead and make the move, did I say April? From May 25th to May 26th, okay? If we know for sure something bad is coming. Now, if we get to May 25th and it's pop-up showers, a chance of rain or whatever, we are keeping it on May 25th. Full speed ahead. If we need to delay for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, we would do that, but we're going to keep on going and encourage you to bring an umbrella if it's needed. Because here's the other option. If we can't do it at the stadium, then it comes in here. And that means these graduates are going to get 1, maybe 2 tickets, and we don't want to do that. Because we want to have it out at the stadium with as many people as possible. So you can go ahead and tell your families and make your plans. May 25th, inclement weather day, May 26th. All right, a little bit about the day before the senior breakfast. We do that right here in the arena, 9 o'clock in the morning. You'll be able to sign up this spring. Information will go out about going on the website and signing up to participate in Senior Breakfast. It's a great tradition here at Thompson High School. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do it this past year. But we want to be able to have that this year. We're making those plans. We have senior tables, 10 seniors to a table. The parents sign up to help decorate it. Come up with these great, wonderful themes for the table, make the seniors feel very special. And we do that the day before on the 24th. So be looking for that form, be looking for that announcement in the spring. Now, if you need us anytime this year, please call up the school. On here we have email addresses for the 3 senior sponsors, for Ms. Harvey, Ms. Vickers, and for myself. Please email us or call if you have any questions. And we will be communicating throughout the year I know it seems like the last 7 months we've been giving you a whole lot of information, a whole lot of emails. We just want you to stay as informed as possible. We want the email and the communication from the school to be where you get this information. There are a lot of, the last 6 or 7 months, I've seen a lot of crazy rumors of what we were doing on social media. And we're going to promote that through our social media and through our emails to you. And if you have any questions, contact us. Go straight to the source if you're wondering how things are going to play out in all this. When you complete the online registration process, list an email address that you can regularly check. And hopefully that's already updated as we've been sending out emails. And if you move or something changes, please let us know. Phone number changes, address, email address, or whatever. But again, call the school if you have any questions. Email one of the senior sponsors, and we can certainly help you the best way we can for this to be a fantastic senior year. And let me just say, parents, your seniors have done a great job. It's not the most no, it's not what they envisioned for their senior year to start off, but they are making the best of it. You should be proud of what they're doing and what we're doing here at Thompson High School. At this time, we want to bring up from the University of Montevallo, Ms. Melissa Stano and Ms. Kim Miller. They're going to talk a little bit about admissions and financial aid.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. As they're coming up and getting set up for their presentation, I wanted to share something with you. You may have seen this on our website, you may have seen this in social media, but what we do with our college and career fairs, and what we do with the college admissions process, and everything that we do here at Thompson High School has a purpose to it. And there are certainly results to that and reasons why we do. I don't know if you've noticed, but Thompson High School was recently a recipient of the 2020 College Success Award. It's a very prestigious award. It's given out by a group that also has a website. It's called greatschools.org. So a little over 2,000 schools, public schools, across the nation, and just a little over 60 schools in Alabama actually earned this award. And what this award means is that not only do you enroll students into college at a high percentage and a high rate, but they also have success when they're in college. So I think that the things that we do, the things that we share and provide in terms of information, support, the work that Mrs. Vickers does on her end of it, meeting with everyone and helping everyone, making the right choices and making the right decisions, even down to what your program and study is going to be. All of those things are so important to us. And to receive an award like this is just an indication that what we're doing is working. And so I just wanted to emphasize that award just wasn't aimlessly given out or provided just to random schools around the country. It means something, and we're very proud of it. So I just wanted to bring that up. That winning that award, what we're doing tonight, is certainly a big part of that process. So just wanted to recognize that and the work that family's done and the work that our school has done to make that possible. So I'll turn it over to Melissa now. She's going to talk about admissions.
All right, good evening. My name is Melissa Stano, and I'm the Senior Admissions Counselor at the University of Montevallo. So I've been an admissions counselor for going on 5 years now, and I just put together a presentation that really talks about the application process from the very beginning of the cycle all the way until you've made a decision. So hopefully you guys will find some of this to be helpful. All right, so the first thing, and some of you may have a jump start on this, is my best advice is start visiting campuses. I know 2020 has kind of made that difficult depending on the institution that you are thinking about, but choose about 5 schools, I'd say like 3 to 5, and try to visit. That could be a virtual visit. Some people are doing in-person visits, like a one-on-one Canvas tour with a student tour guide. And so make sure to pick some type of visit. Get to know the schools that you're interested in. Schedule your visits ahead of time. This is important, probably more now than ever before, because I know at least for the University of Guatemala, we are allowing people to come on campus, but it's really a one-on-one experience, and we are not flexible at all. So you will be turned away if you don't have an appointment. So make sure to schedule those visits. Don't hesitate to make special requests or ask questions. Really get to know those schools. You want to make sure that this investment that you're about to make into the next 4 years of your life matters, and that you know that's exactly where you want to be. This will be your home away from home, and as many people tell you, students, some of the best years of your life. All right, so apply for admission early. I know with free applications going on, you guys probably have a head start on this as well. But I cannot say that enough. Apply early. There is a long checklist, as you guys know, when you're applying to colleges, of things to do and deadlines and all that fun stuff. And you just want to make sure that you are ahead of the game. So know your deadlines. Speaking of that, but do not wait on them. Make sure that you are ahead of schedule, because many institutions are not flexible. So you want to make sure that you know those deadlines, especially for scholarships. Send your transcripts and ACT scores quickly. And I would say for 2020, you need to know who is looking for ACTs and who may be flexible on that. Some schools have gone to test optional, and so it's really your choice of what benefits you, whether or not you want to send those scores. So check out your scholarship information and what you might qualify for if you use your test scores or if you do not, and also admission. And then once your student has been admitted, once you're admitted, make sure to apply for housing and your scholarships. Most of the time you have to wait until you've gotten your acceptance, but then it's your time and a call to action to go ahead and complete those applications. So Kim Miller will talk more in detail about this, but make a financial plan. There's so many scholarships that will be awarded throughout the year, all the way until March and April. So I say start selecting your top 2 or 3 institutions and make a financial plan for each of those. Make sure that you have all the information, and so that means knowing if you've been offered scholarships. And I say wait until about April to do that, just so that you have all the information at hand when you're making that decision. Also, you want to be open with your admissions counselor about your financial needs. There's so much that we can help with. And so if we know you and we know your story, we truly just have things that come across our desk that we can help with. But if we don't, it may pass off to the next person that we have talked with and understand that need. So just make sure you get to know us. You don't have to talk to us all the time, but just make sure that we understand kind of where you are in the process and how we can help you. That's all we want to do. Don't be afraid to ask for more scholarship opportunities. I think that kind of is in the same vein, but you just want to make sure that you're getting all opportunities that could potentially be offered to you. Again, take your time, wait until the spring to make your financial plan, and accept all scholarships your student is offered. So if you're offered scholarships at several institutions, just be sure that you accept those so that it's there for you instead of letting it pass and somebody else gaining that scholarship. Okay, so the decision. I know this for students particularly can be very, very awkward, but we want to know. We want to know that we're investing our time in someone who is truly interested. So make an informed decision with your student about where they may want to pursue their education. Call your admissions counselor and celebrate for the school that you're interested in, and then be sure to break up with the other schools. So don't be afraid, just let us know. We will be back because obviously we wanted you to attend our institution, but it also helps us to know who's actually attending that fall. Sign up for orientation, and last but not least, get ready for move-in day. So I will be in the room for University of Montevallo. If you have any questions, feel free to stop by. I always say, don't take for granted what's in your backyard. We have a lot to offer, so I'd love it if you guys came by and saw me after all the presentations. Thank you, guys.
Keep it right up to your mouth.
Sorry.
She will know how to make sure she goes.
So where does it, in the black area,
Over.
oh, you actually touch the next arrow, it comes,
He comes with a compared
and it's already ready to go.
should be.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm Kim Miller, and I'm from the University of Montevallo as well, right down the road. I am an assistant director in the student aid office, and my presentation tonight is just pretty basic because we'd certainly love to see you down at Montevallo, but we know that we have all kinds of decisions flying around the room, and I just try to keep it as general as possible. And I'm going to touch on these different topics as briefly as we can for tonight, but just know again, this presentation can be shared and the details you can see a little bit more later. So thanks for having me. I'm going to go ahead and keep moving. The different topics I've got on the sheets, I'm going to pass it by. And basically, you know, I hope you've heard of the FAFSA, which is your free application for federal student aid. We're at the point, you've just gotten this year started, it feels like, and we're already studying. Here's what you need to do to get yourself ready for college now. Along with applying for colleges, we're at the point, my mask is slipping, sorry. We're at the point where we are already saying you need to apply for your financial aid. The FAFSA opens up each year on October 1, so you're not too late. I know we're kind of deep into October, but we're at the point where it's already open. This is not on the tax year that we're all about to work on as we move into spring. The FAFSA is actually based off tax information from the 2019 tax year that most of us have either handled, or even if we were filing extensions, we have already handled that this month. So just know that's why it's okay to keep moving. You're not waiting to do your taxes. It is based off 2019 tax year. Currently, the FAFSA is available on the web, like it has been for a while, and for the last couple of years, there's actually a mobile phone app, and it works well. So if you're more happy in the world of doing things to your telephone, feel free to download the My Student Aid app on your phone, and you can actually file a FAFSA straight through the smartphone. All right, I probably have said everything that's on this slide already because I kind of have a problem about that. But I'm just going to remind you again, when you see October 1st, that means that FAFSA application for the year that we're moving into, which is, as we move forward, it will, believe it or not, be called 21-22, and it's ready to go. All right, what will you need in order to complete a FAFSA online? First of all, when I say my, we're talking to the students, so if you and your parents together are working on this, you're going to have a user ID, it's called the FSA ID, but you'll have a username and password, and there'll be a separate one for each of you. Like I said, 2019 tax information and W-2s will be for either the student at work, if they did, along with their parents. And then, of course, the identification documentation is typically a social security number when you're developing these IDs. This is kind of like the special information section I included. There's a lot of words on this slide, I know. But basically, the first little part of this slide is talking about if you're in a household and you're not what you're saying to natural parents, I guess you'd say. You're in a household and you're with one parent or the other, or if you're in one of the other households and even a parent has remarried, the question is typically which parent is on the FAFSA. And it's not about a divorce decree, it's not about who claims who on your taxes. It essentially is which parent did you live with the most in the last 12 months. So again, all of those other things feel like that would be kind of the gauge of which parent you choose. But remember to ask yourself the question, which parent did the student live with the most in the last 12 months? If you feel like that is kind of a half and half situation, which is the case sometimes, remember to kind of consider which parent provided the most financial support in the last 12 months from the time you did your FAFSA. And again, if that parent remarries, you'll be including the step-parent information as well on the financial information. Dependency status, I get a lot of questions about. That's going to be some yes and no questions at the start of the FAFSA. And the dependency status is basically dependent student versus an independent student. And how that is determined, again, there's some yes or no questions out there. If you're a student that answers yes to one of those questions, it will prompt you to follow up with a school later if you're in a special circumstance where you do not have parent information to provide for different reasons. I would encourage you to follow up with the school that you know that you'll be attending, the financial aid office, get that FAFSA submitted, and there's typically a little more information they're going to ask you for. All right, I've got this again, the FAFSA Basics. Again, this slide is more for reference for you to be able to go back to know where to develop your FSA ID and where to file that FAFSA and that app. And then this is a perfect time. You know, we're talking about which school you're sort of courting, and then you're going to pick one day and you're going to rank up with others. When you're submitting that FAFSA, because you may not be locked in just yet on which school you're choosing, remember you can include all of those schools to receive your FAFSA. And the different financial aid offices will send you information, but remember, you're only going to move forward completely with the one that you know that you're attending, and the others, I promise, will not continue to harass you. It's just so that you have the most information until you know for sure which school you're going to. All right, on the FAFSA, for those of you who may have already submitted, just remember there's going to be a part when we get down to those tax questions where they're going to ask you, would you like to use the IRS data retrieval tool? It feels a little weird to us, but we haven't seen that before for someone to ask if you'd like to pull your taxes straight into the FAFSA. But just know it works really well. It's a great tool to use because you know that information is what you would have keyed in anyway, and it gives you the chance to be the most accurate and save the most time by using that data tool. So if you can use it, try to click that button. It's going to take you straight to the IRS, and a lot of that information will just fill in for you, and we do certainly suggest that you use it if you can. I had just one slide about verification, so just to let you know you're going to be submitting that FAFSA every year, and each year you're going to hear back from the financial aid offices, and you're either ready to be awarded or one improved students across the country each year with each FAFSA is selected for a process called verification. And I just wanted to mostly let you know, don't worry if you are. It makes us feel really uncomfortable to submit these FAFSAs like we already don't feel like we know what we're doing. And if you're selected for verification, yet again, it makes you feel like you did something wrong and you just knew it, and what are you going to do now? So please just take the time to pay attention to the messages you're receiving back from the school financial aid office. If you were selected, it will let you know that, and it will also be usually emails these days telling you exactly what they need to help get you through the process. And mostly it's documentation that you already used when you put the FAFSA in anyway. So don't panic, just read through the information and try to get it to them as soon as possible so they can get you awarded. And then lastly, if you just feel overwhelmed, just give that office a call and say, please help me through and let me know what I need to do, and that's what they're there for. Reevaluation is a bigger thing we're talking about even more than ever before with COVID-19. Reevaluation has always been available to a family. If you think about, I'm telling you to submit your FAFSA and use your 2019 tax information, which you know is a while ago. And again, that was even prior to where we were even hearing about COVID-19. So you still start with your 2019 tax information, even if that was a much prettier picture than it is now. And as you move forward, that's the first step. Do that FAFSA, get that information out there. But if you feel like there's a really different situation at your home from the time you submitted that, you follow up once that FAFSA gets to the school and say, now we've got to talk about that our story is very different than what we put on that paper. And that is considered reevaluation. Typically, there's going to be a form you'll probably fill out. They'll let you know there's additional information they'll need to help you have your FAFSA reconsidered and adjusted as far as the award goes, because the whole goal of reevaluation is to depict a current picture, even if you had to start from the 2019 picture. So it's called FAFSA reevaluation, and again, follow up with that financial aid office on how to pursue that or question about it and help you know if it would benefit you and your students. All right, these are the different things we will hear from after that FAFSA is submitted. So currently, FAFSA open as of October 1, and it continues to keep being open. Right now, if you pull it up, you're still going to see the 2021 year. And remember, we're talking, I can't even say it because it feels wrong, 21-22 year is what you'll select. And if you think, oh my goodness, I picked the wrong tab, I filled out that FAFSA wrong, it's okay, it's our thing, we're just going to go right back out there and fill out the right tab. But where we are in this is you're going to submit that FAFSA, and we tell you, hurry up so we can then wait. But schools right now, even though the FAFSA is open, schools are setting up their system for the next year. And I can tell you that because that's what we're doing right now in my office. So we're setting our systems up, and typically most schools that have you submitting early are trying to pull that FAFSA in around November and December, and you'll start hearing back from those schools around that time. And again, you've been offered awards, along with if you were in education, they'll let you know at that point. So, what do we hear back from the FAFSA at that point? That's when you find out if you're eligible for Pell Grants. That's when you find that out through that financial aid offer, along with, and right now I put the Pell Grant information if you're a full Pell Grant recipient. This year it was $63.45. We do not have next year's numbers, so it always typically goes up a little bit. And so that's a good resource. If you did receive that Pell Grant offer because you are eligible based on the FAFSA, if you don't have any other grant awards out there, it's a good thing to check with that financial aid office and say, thank you so much for that. But we were wondering, is there any eligible extra grants out there? Most of the time, they try to already identify students and award you anything they have available from the government, but it never hurts to ask those questions. And again, grants are great, but FAFSA determines it, and you do not have to pay those back. I didn't include that part. I think it just went too far, sorry. Okay, I'm good. All right, work study. This is a great question on the FAFSA. Are you interested in work study? Every person that I assist with FAFSA, I say, just say yes, because you just don't know. You might be interested, you might find out you have time for a campus position, and we're all just taking it day by day right now, but it is a FAFSA question, and how do you get considered for that award? You say yes on the FAFSA. After that, the funds typically run out, so another great reason to file an early FAFSA would be to get that work study award. And along with that, it is an award, but typically a student is going to work on a campus, and that award comes from the government, but they work hours and they receive a paycheck for that. But it is a federal fund, you do have to have some level of need, but again, you can't be considered for it if you don't say yes on that FAFSA. If you forgot to say yes, just follow up with that financial aid office and they can work with you and try to be considered. All right, have saved loans for last in line of our favorite things, but it is something that you're going to be considered for through that FAFSA application. You will always be offered student loans. I hear from folks saying, oh, we don't file the FAFSA because we're not going to get anything. What I understand from that conversation is we may not get grants, but we're always going to get a loan offer. Each year you file the FAFSA, each year loans come as an offer, so no one is peddling these loans or helping you take them. But if you do have to say yes for the loans to take care of your financial aid account, your student aid, your bill, you know that they're offered each year, you can accept or decline them, and you can even accept only a portion of them at the point when you are being offered. But it's always going to come to you as an offer for you to decide to say yes or no. I've included a lot more details on this slide about the subsidized and the unsubsidized, and that there are some extra requirements if you do plan to say yes, that you'll be expected to fulfill with the federal government. But again, that information will come to you after you submitted a FAFSA, and you'll hear back on that. This is the loan chart. It's bright yellow. I love to include it every year. It never changes. Haven't seen any changes since I worked in financial aid. But it's just a good resource for kind of what to expect and what will be offered. Loans are always offered based off grade level. Every 30 hours a student progresses through college, puts them up a grade level. So where you see my first year, 5,500 is the mark of C for a dependent student, and if you were deemed independent, it's 9,500 for the year, and that would be divided between the fall and the spring semesters. And then if you see how it goes up, and it's not about which school you attend or what type of school, it literally is based off grade level. But loans, remember, could go along with grants if you're eligible, and then we move on to scholarships, our favorite word, and this is what we're all here for and what we want to hear about. Again, where Melissa was talking about, it's time to apply and start making sure you know where you're considering going. I've chosen it's time to do that FAFSA, so if you haven't done it, it's time to go home and work on it. But lastly, scholarship applications are out there and open. Mostly right now, I can see I can only go to the University of Montevallo, but we open our scholarship portal on September 1 each year. So it's open, and that tells me that probably other schools, if you're considering different ones, you are based off your athletic or your merit-based scholarships, you're considered for that for different reasons where you've been admitted through the universities, and the admissions departments know your business and will be awarded naturally. But remember those extra scholarships that can stack on top of those different things that you will be awarded just based off your application. Most of the time there's going to be an application at each school that tells you what to do to be considered for those extra scholarships. For Montevallo, we do have a separate application online. Once the student's been accepted to the university, they can just sign in. So I would assume the same thing takes place at most schools. So get on those websites or talk to your counselors and type in the word scholarship and see what they tell you to do for additional scholarships. But for us, it opens in September, so remember, don't put this off. Most of the time, they're going to leave these portals open until early spring, and then those portals close, and they start to need to award those scholarships before summer. For us, ours closes on March 1st, so again, I would assume it's very similar at every school that you want to consider. Now, I tell you, these scholarships, we worry the most about them in our freshman year, but remember, every year you do that FAFSA, every year you apply for scholarships. When we move on and talk about the reason, remember I told you it's so important to submit that FAFSA. If you are only offered loans and your family is lucky enough not to have to say yes to any loans, remember that FAFSA is the gauge for the need level for a family. And sometimes you want to put that FAFSA out there just to be considered for additional scholarships. So it's still very important to do every year. And then I'm going to mention resume, just like I've already heard about tonight. Keep those resumes active. You'll start to forget all of the things you've done from your freshman year to your senior year, and that's the perfect place to keep up with all of those activities for leadership, participation, volunteerism, and anything you can think of. And if you can keep it there, when you apply for those multiple scholarships, you have it all in a place that is ready to go. So hopefully that helps you. Bridging the gap. I hate to even say this gap, but typically, if you are planning to live on campus and have a meal plan, and you have your tuition and fees, even if you have full Pell Grant and you say yes to your loans and you're moving forward with some pretty good scholarships, you may still feel that by the time you compare your apples to apples, you're starting to wonder about, is there a gap that we're going to have to worry about? So I did a slide here that just talks about, along with what you already have heard, you want to consider payment plan options that most universities are going to offer. That means if you owe a small balance at the end, it might be easier to set it up on their payment plan, and that's not a loan, it's just a way to break up those payments. Also, a Parent Plus loan is available through the federal government for parents of dependent students. And then private loans are out there that you would pursue yourself, but you want to make sure that you consider all other options typically before pursuing private loans. Now, again, I just mentioned these things in slides that I've kind of already said. Payment plans are definitely worth pursuing because for folks not looking for loans, it's a great benefit. Parent Plus lines, there's an application that's out there, the same place your student will apply for the FAFSA. And with your FSA ID as a parent, you can actually apply as a parent for an additional loan. A FAFSA is required for your student to have first. It is based on credit. You would typically, it's not going to open until June 1st each year, but you typically don't want to consider this option until you see what the full package looks like. And again, you see on here, I put that it's June 1st. And for a parent who's applied for a plus loan and the government just said no to them, your student's actually eligible for more loans in their own money because you tried and even got a no. So something to ask the financial aid office if you're at that point where you're working to bridge the gap. I just included the slide about private loans. It's usually kind of your last resort thing that most folks consider only when there's other things that kind of hand out, and that's their last thing to consider. Again, you have to choose your own lender. It's still handled through the student aid office at the school, and they don't open until June 1 for that next year. And again, you wouldn't really want to know about that until other things have been handled. All right, here's my recap. We're into the ends. Remember, FAFSA, what's the date? October 1. Now's the time. We tell people to check in on their financial aid requirements once that FAFSA is out there, so you want to make sure not to be surprised by anything. Start watching those student email accounts from the schools that you're considering, because you're going to have an email interaction with the different offices. Once you decide you are going to a school and you sign up and start to see your student account balance out there, you want to monitor that. If you're seeing that potential gap by the time you get to June and you're starting to work on it, remember, June 1 is when those extra things are usually available, like payment plans and plus loans and private loans. And don't be afraid to ask questions of those financial aid offices and the cashier officers or bursar offices, because they're here to help you. I think that might be it. Any questions? Or we may be done. I'm not sure of the timing. I'm sorry, I don't know what to watch.
Thank you, Kim.